Hey, I'm Alex Mallahan. I'm doing my project on Orientalism, via a video, simply because I found it was probably the best solution to actually be able to hear my voice and hear me speaking out my thoughts. Now, in this video, I'm going to show images, but due to technical constraints as well as lack of technical know-how as well, I will not be able to show any video clips, which, while problematic, I believe is not detrimental to the content of this video. Alright, so the project that was assigned to me was, and to all of our class, was to find 5 examples of Orientalism in our culture, art, film, literature, etc. I chose to do 5 from the medium that I have the most experience with and the most knowledge about, which, alright, apologies. Alright, so for our medium, I chose to do the medium of film for Orientalism simply because I have the most experience with film. I've seen Orientalism in more films than in any other element of our culture, and I do have experience making films, writing films, stuff along those lines. So I believe that it is the best medium for me to explain, or the best medium to examine Orientalism in American culture, also because it's the most popular one and a very effective vehicle to convey moods and ideas. You have to be shitting. Oh, come on. Alright, so the first film I chose to do was a film called The Sheik by Rudolph Valentino, which is a film from 1921, a very old example of Orientalism in American film, one of the oldest. This movie was a silent film, which grossly misrepresents. Is it fucking doing this? Why? Fuck. The first film that I chose to do was a film called The Sheik by Rudolph Valentino, filmed in 1921 in the silent film era. This film is a very prominent example of early Orientalism in American cinema. The Sheik has an overall very negative portrayal of Arabs, of Arab culture, and Middle Eastern culture in general. The most egregious scene that I can think of is one where the protagonist, the heroine, she enters a party, or a party such with only Arabs. She's a British expat, and she finds that they're like auctioning off women. Excuse me. They are auctioning off women, and as if they're like camels or other livestock of sorts, which is sort of showing the misogyny that is perceived to exist in Arab culture. And it's also a love story, so after she is taken by the Sheik, Rudolph Valentino, the titular character, it's sort of like a Stockholm Syndrome love story. She eventually develops or falls in love with her captor. And her captor is in a war with another tribe. This tribe is an Arabic tribe too, and in this war they kidnap the female protagonist, and he fights back. There's a large battle with another sheik and him, and he ultimately wins, and the woman decides she loves this man. And the final plot twist is, in fact, that the sheik isn't an Arab. He's actually British and Spanish, I believe. And this is, again, Orientalism. It's dismissing the people, the Arab culture and Arab peoples. It's putting them down because this man he ultimately turned out to be a noble figure, a very heroic figure, someone who is worth your time and worth your love. And they're saying that he's not an Arab, this great figure. So in a sense, it takes the one heroic Arabic character in this film and takes away the fact that he's an Arab, and it says that only Europeans can be heroes. It is a early example of this anti-Islamic bias, this attack on Islam and especially in Middle Eastern peoples, not just Islam, as a lesser people, one who are not capable of the same heroism as white Europeans are. And it's a fairly egregious early offender of Orientalism. The next example of Orientalism in film using is the 1992 Disney film Aladdin, which is set in the Arabian Peninsula to the, I believe, 101 Nights Tale of the same name. And it's an animated film, and in it is very, very real examples of Orientalism. The best example I can find is, once again, that much like the Sheik, the primary hero is a white person, essentially. Aladdin has no discernible Arabic accent. It has no discernible stereotypical Arabic features, instead looking like someone who could be in any other Disney film about European heroes. Then to Add on to this, you also see all of the villains in it. The antagonists that Aladdin is fighting against are all very stereotypical Arabs. Namely, Jafar has very stereotypical Arab qualities. Untrustworthy, deceitful. These lies that have been perpetrated through Orientalism are embodied in Jafar, and as well as the Arabic guards who Aladdin fights or tries to flee from in his many musical numbers. But all things considered, that is one major example of Orientalism in Aladdin. On top of this, the opening sequence is also pretty. I guess it's once again fantastic. I guess like not in. Oh, god damn it! Fuck it, fuck it. Another element about Aladdin that shows its Orientalistic tendencies is the setting. In fact, the setting of Agrabah is essentially an amalgam of all of the Western ideas of what it's like to live in a Middle Eastern city at the high point of the Caliphate. It does portray it as sort of a mystical place, something that doesn't change, something that is really, I guess, static. And while it may be fantastic and brilliant, I guess, a very nice place, it still shows that whole Oriental aesthetic used in Orientalism. On top of this, you also had the opening scene of Aladdin, which features a song which I, once again, don't believe I can get. But one of the most famous lines, and that line that Aladdin has taken a lot of flack for, is, oh, when they say that they cut your ear off, they don't like your face, or something along those lines. But really portraying the Arabic world as a brutal, uncivilized, backwards land where law doesn't exist, where there is no law to oversee the country. And this is another negative Arabic stereotype as just people who are ruled by their emotions, who are hot-headed like the desert that they live in. Completely completely inaccurately portraying the way that Arabs actually are and Arabic culture actually is. Another movie with these Oriental tendencies is the 2010 chick flick Eat, Pray, Love. This isn't a movie that I saw. I'm going to say that beforehand. I've only heard about it. I've read articles about it, actually about its Orientalistic tendencies. It's sort of that movie, while it doesn't portray the Oriental people in a negative light, it doesn't portray the Orient in a negative light. It sort of portrays it as a static type of environment, something that doesn't change, a serene, less frantic way of living. It portrays the world that she goes to. It's part of this new subgenre of a white woman goes east to find herself, if you know what that is, or what I'm referring to. It was like Sex and the City did the same thing. But in this, she goes to the east and under the idea that foreigners are magical and can help you find yourself. And what the attitude that this movie kind of conveys is that in the East, it's much more, or in the Orient, it's much more relaxed and a lot less hustle and bustle in America. So, I mean, there is like a little undertone of judgment there because they aren't as productive as we Americans are. They don't do as much as we do, but you can, it's still zooming in on me, you can still find yourself in the East, in the Orient, and that is sort of an Oriental attitude, that it's someplace where you can find something new about yourself. And it's not it's not an aggressive Orientalistic attitude, it's not a bad one, but it is there, and it does have some pretty sinister undertones. The next movie I chose was the 2007 movie called The Kingdom, set in Saudi Arabia. This movie is another action movie which chooses to use Arabs as the stock villain. And again, all Arabs, but the good Arabs, are terrorists or fanatics hell-bent on destroying Americans and foreigners. In this case, Al-Qaeda is the primary villain, but nevertheless, you see again, Arabs are just the Arabs in this movie are just used as disposable characters that can be riddled with bullets with little moral implication. It also shows in the end that the Arabian culture is just a never-ending cycle of violence, that it won't end, that there will still be fighting. This movie, however, makes some I guess, improvements to its Orientalism by at least showing there is a strange political situation going on in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, or in the Arabian Peninsula, and it gets credit for at least trying to do that. But it is again another modern example of Orientalism, but this time stripped from all the positive elements of Orientalism, the fantastic nature that pervades a lot of Oriental things. But once again, you're seeing a misrepresentation of Arab culture and really just a bad portrayal of Arabs as a whole.